Hello everyone, welcome to the Golden Jubilee series, podcast series of NIPFP. Today we have with us Dr. Amey Sapre, who is an associate professor here. Dr. Sapre has been working extensively with the issues of national income accounting and has undertaken research on the same with the Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, and he has also worked with the Prime Minister's Economic Advisory Council. And Dr. Sapre has also been a member of the 5th Finance Commission of the Union Territory. Warm welcome to you, Dr. Sapre.
My pleasure. Thank you, Atrayee.
So to start with, let me start with a very basic question. Why does GDP numbers is still so relevant for policy and public debates? Is it more than just a growth number?
Thank you, Atrayee, for this podcast. I mean, it's an exciting time right now because we have a new GDP base year series, 22-23, and it's been due for a long time. So again, new debates have come about what the new series has to offer. So to your question on why GDP numbers still relevant, I mean, they have always been relevant. It's just that people keep talking about what is the assessment of the economy based on those numbers. Although the methodology and the data are more of a finer detail of the GDP series, which is actually a field of both research as well as methodological improvements. There are international guidelines on how GDP estimates and the overall national accounts are sort of compiled. But coming specifically to why they are relevant, they have been an important indicator of the health of the economy. And in a country like India, where you have both union and the states, we have GDP numbers for the states as well. And they have been using, and they are used, in fact, for a lot of their own macro assessment. We have Finance Commission transfers require an indicator like income distance, which is based on GDP. Debt is again an indicator which is based on the targets are based on GDP numbers. Financial markets require this number for socio-economic assessment and development. These numbers are required. So by and large, if you see GDP numbers remain pretty much relevant, it's just that what do they offer in terms of measurement, improvement from time to time? That's why these debates sort of continue. But overall, they remain relevant and they will continue to remain relevant as we speak.
Thank you, Dr. Sapre, for such a simplistic way of explaining it in such details. Again, going back to very basic. So we often read and hear about base year revisions. So from a layman's perspective, could you please explain what a base year actually is and why its revision is so centric to national income accounting?
Okay, so base year revision is an important exercise for the national accounts as such. What the base year revision entails is an assessment of how we capture our estimates of the economy, which is essentially economic activity. And so there are two basic components. One is the value that is being captured, which is based on some method of an economic activity, and the other is a set of prices that each economic activity, so on and so forth, has. So we produce basically three aggregates: GVO, which is gross value of output; we require intermediate consumption, and the residual is known as value added, which is gross value added as the main metric for compilation of GDP, an aggregate of GVA that way. And of course, taxes is the GDP as such. A base year is essentially a time when you require to do a reassessment of what methodologies are being used, what is the extent of capture that our system is able to do, because as anybody can understand, periodically changes keep happening in the economy. The economy is not a static thing, it's pretty dynamic in that sense. So as the structural composition of the economy keeps changing, we require to go back and assess our own methods on what is the extent of coverage that we are doing in order to capture all parts of the economy by institutions as well as by different economic activities. So traditionally we use a standard classification of economic activities. Say, for example, agriculture, fishing, forestry, mining, so on and so forth. So each sector requires a certain method, and each method has a certain coverage. The data source has a certain coverage of to what extent are we able to capture. So as we go periodically, there is an assessment of what is the extent of capture that we are doing. Do we require an improved method? Do we require a different data source to capture? And time to time, there are methodological developments. So, as I said, each country technically follows an international guideline which is given by the System of National Accounts (SNA). We now have a new SNA 2025 about to come, but by and large, all countries try to align their methods and sources, data sources, to the SNA, their methodologies, which is an internationally accepted practice. So, time to time, when these assessments are done, it's called a base year revision. And base year technically means that we have a base year for a reference. The base year means a year for reference, which is essentially the prices that are there in the base year. So, from there, we do an assessment of uh, how far are we from the base year. Technically, we require that we change base year not too frequently but not too late also. So a good time is 5 years. Earlier we used to do once in 10 years. Now it's been a little longer for this base year revision to have happened, but essentially the base year requires that we do our reassessment of our own methods of capture, the data sources that we are sort of using, so that we expand our coverage. We have improved data sources, and we take updated prices. Updated prices meaning that the base year is not too far away from our current year of estimation. So that's by and large the necessity of having a base year revision, and MASPI has been doing it periodically. So this is in the same sequence. We now have the 22-23 base year, which has just been recently released in February.
Going forward, the last major revision was 2011-12
Yeah.
base year series.
Yes.
So what made this particular revision so significant for India, and was this also linked to international accounting standards?
You mean the 2011-12 base year?
11-12
Yeah.
series.
Okay. So the 2011 base year was after the 2004-5 base year revision, which was also slightly delayed, and that was released in 2015. Now, the 2011-12 series introduced some very important changes, which have continued for till now, till the most recent base year 22-23. So in 2011, many changes were made, new databases were introduced, and that to some extent also altered the size and composition of the economy. Growth rates did change, and there was a huge debate for a continued time till this new base year revision that has happened. Now, the 2011-12 series also made conceptual improvements. We introduced new databases like MCA21, which was for the organized part of the economy, essentially manufacturing and services, and some other compositional changes were also made. Those things have continued till now, and this base year revision also sort of carry forwards the same change. We have made minor changes, not as revolutionary as the 2011 series, and this time we've not had that kind of issues as they were introduced in 2011-12. So when the 11-12 series was introduced, there were some debates about how the macro assessment had changed, growth rates had changed, levels had changed, which was sort of in many places were inconsistent with other macro indicators. And there have been a lot of research which has happened in the past trying to explain the divergence between macro indicators and so on and so forth. This year we haven't seen that, although the entire set of national accounts hasn't been released. But yeah, in terms of qualitative changes, 2011-12 series made a lot of qualitative changes, which have now sort of continued, which have now essentially become mainstay. They are going to stay by and large. Only a handful of changes have been done over and above the 2011 series in this base year series.
So in the latest series, there is a 2022 series you just mentioned. What according to you has genuinely improved?
Okay, yeah. So this has been the new point of discussion, not so much of debate, but yeah, discussion on what changes have been made in the 22-23 series. So if the readers or if the users have some idea about what had happened in the 11-12 series, the 22 series essentially is a major qualitative improvement. We have continued with the changes that were introduced earlier. We have improved on them in, I would say, three basic areas. First is that as the economy sort of divided into let's say, for a very broad classification, organized and the unorganized part, which is typically known as the household sector in the national accounts. Earlier, it was still extrapolated in some cases, for many compilation categories, subsectors. This time we have made a major improvement, which is that the estimates of the household sector will come from the annual survey of unincorporated enterprises, ASUS, and another survey which is ASSE for annual survey of service sector enterprises, that is also getting introduced. So one major qualitative improvement has happened is that we are using annual surveys to capture the unincorporated part of the economy, which is a substantial improvement. That's one major chunk that has happened in this series. Another major change that has happened is in the 11-12 series post revision. There have been a lot of discussion on should we be using double deflator as a method for compiling the constant price, the real estimates. Till now, we've been following single deflation, except for agriculture. For most of these, for almost all other subsectors, we were following single deflation method. In the 22-23 series, double deflation as a measure has been introduced for compiling constant price estimates. So again, that has been a major conceptual improvement, and it also has been in sort of to contain that kind of criticism which was initially advanced, that why aren't we using double deflator. Although double deflator is as a practically usable construct is sort of difficult, but we have introduced that in this new series. So I think that has been a major improvement. There have been other qualitative changes that have happened, particularly, say, for example, separating the and value added done by diversified enterprises. Earlier, if a company was doing both manufacturing and services, it was sort of classified into one category only. But now we've improved our estimation to separate out the value added from different activities within the same company also. So that has been a major improvement. It's improved quality, precision of our estimates. There have been other finer changes, particularly for general government. Two major changes that have happened is one is on calculation of pension, and the other is an imputed value for owner provided dwellings. So these have been improvements which have been both in line with the international practices. So yeah, these four qualitative changes have really improved the way we are compiling estimates in this particular series.
Thank you, Dr. Sapre, for revealing this interesting point of changes, especially the two significant change of introducing the double deflator as well as accounting for unincorporated enterprises.
Through surveys.
Services, yeah. So going forward, did this revision teach you anything about the strength and weaknesses of Indian statistical system? And as India prepares for future revisions, what according to you should be the key priorities of national income accounting?
Yeah, that's a fairly interesting question, because every base year revision reveals a lot, teaches a lot, and it's not only an academic exercise, it's also an administrative exercise, because that way we are India is that way is a fairly complex system for official statistics, because you have to partner with states. And while the focus is exclusively on the all India GDP, but we have states regional accounts also, which is important for every state, and every state has their own counterpart just like the CSO, the NSO for the union, we have DES, Department Directorates of Economic and Statistics at each state. They also partner in compiling the estimates. So major learnings in this base year revision has been that while we introduce conceptual changes, they have to be also explained to the user. We have to improve on our way of dissemination. We have to improve on our way of engagement with the user. I think this time, to the credit of MOSPI, a lot of public engagement has happened. A lot of public dissemination and discussion of the proposed changes have happened. Documentation have been really has improved significantly compared to all other previous base year revisions. So I think one great lesson and learning from this base year revision has been that explaining it to the user is an essential part of doing this work. So that is one. Second, administratively also, engaging with other ministries is important because MOSPI compiles information from several ministries, and as we build new databases which are designed, which may not particularly be designed for national income accounts, but every ministry has to partner with MOSPI to be able to deliver and contribute towards doing this. So MCA, we now have new portals like eVahan portal from Orth. There are many other databases which are now getting introduced into the national account. So that way, administratively, it also requires partnership with sort of other ministries. Third, it requires, and it has been a lesson and learning also, is that when we have annual surveys, states partner with doing these annual surveys, which is an integral part of compilation of national accounts. So I think these three important pieces has been a great learning in doing this kind of base year revision. And academically also, it has been a very rewarding plus engaging sort of time in the base year revision, because it's not as simple as to just revise one particular series. A lot of revision internally takes place to improve the quality of statistics. Now, on the second part of your question on how do we prepare for the future, I think we still have a long way to go in terms of improving the quality of our official statistics, essentially coming with partnering with states. And while we are almost, I would say, compiling at the level of international standards, we have sort of incorporated almost all of it and significantly improved. I think we need to improve a little bit more on the quality of our publications, user dissemination in that sense. Those two things are sort of really important. The other challenges which are going to come in terms of compiling national accounts is essentially in the services sector as well as the unincorporated sector. While we are doing annual surveys, but we are still a little far away from capturing those dynamic changes in the unincorporated sector. Right now we have a census which is about to start, has already started. That's going to help in the future. Plus, I think once we improve a little bit more on our administrative data sources, so that administrative data sources and survey data sources sort of talk to each other, there's enough data triangulation that happens so that we reduce on errors and we improve a little bit more on the regional accounts, that is for states. I think if these three areas of work which are taken up, I think we are doing fairly well on the part of our national accounts and specifically for compiling GDP.
Thank you, Dr. Sapre. So I think your explanation of the basics to start with felt like a classic, very detailed textbook explanation, and you also pointed out various significant changes to look forward to in the latest Bezier series, and most importantly, going forward, you also highlighted the challenges which we should really be mindful of, and especially the importance of accounting for quality in states' national accounts and the regional accounts that you're talking about, and state partnership with states. That will be really important and interesting to look forward to, where we take ahead from
Yeah,
here.
because as users use both all India as well as state GDP, it's important that there is user engagement both at the union as well as for the state level, and it's going to really improve the quality of our own national accounts. That will be very nice.
That's all we have for our today's podcast series. So thank you again, Dr.
Thank you
Amey,
so much. Thank
for
you so
this
much for inviting me.
series.
I hope it's been useful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.